Democrats are licking their wounds and wondering what's next after a very expensive loss this week. Democrat Jon Ossoff came up short in the most expensive House race in history, losing Georgia's 6th District special election to Republican Aaron Handel. Now, after the Tuesday defeat, some Democrats blamed House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, publicly saying Pelosi is toxic to their party.
You think Nancy Pelosi is more toxic than Donald Trump?
You know what? The honest answer is, in some areas of the country, yes, she is.
Let's talk it over with our political commentators, former press secretary of Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign, Simone Sanders, and former Georgia Congressman Jack Kingston, a Republican. So, Simone, I'll start with you. Is Nancy Pelosi your party's problem?
No, I think we've got... I do think the Democrats do have some problems. I don't necessarily think Nancy Pelosi is up there at the top of the list. Look, Nancy Pelosi didn't lose this election in Georgia. The reality is that she wasn't even in charge of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. So I think there are very fruitful debates that should happen within our party, and I think that are happening, but we also have to stay focused, and there's lots of things that we need to attack at this moment. Healthcare, education is out there on the table. There's a Russian investigation happening, so we need to stay focused.
So if she's not the problem, what do you think is the problem?
You know what? I think that, one, we have not actually done an internal party autopsy of 2016, of where we are. We haven't done a 6-month check on what has been happening. And so I think the party, there's a couple different issues. Like we need to figure out how we can energize our base, young people, people of color. We also need to figure out how we can persuade some of these persuadable voters to vote for Democrats. There are various ways to do that. I think it is healthy to have a conversation about how we go about that, but attacking one or two members of our party and blaming them for the perceived problem isn't the way to go about it.
President Trump and some Republicans love Pelosi, saying she helps them win elections. Jack, do you agree with that?
I think there's something to be said. As Tim Ryan said, in certain parts of the country, she plays well in terms of motivating the other side. I'd say this. First of all, I want to apologize to my friend Simone. I hate it when other people from another party tell us Republicans what we need to do, but I have to do that. I do think that the Democrats need some more leadership. Right now, they're well represented on the West Coast and the East Coast, but in Middle America, in the Rust Belt, they need more representation. Keith Ellison is from Chicago, but you don't have the Ohio factory-type workers represented in the leadership of the Democrat Party right now. But the other thing, taking a page from Bill Clinton, they need a Sister Souljah moment when they can say, you know what, Johnny Depp and Kathy Griffin do not represent our values. They're, in fact, ridiculous. I mean, Bill Clinton defined himself when he took on Sister Souljah. And right now, the Democrat Party seems to identify more with Johnny Depp than they do with Bernie Wambier. And I think Middle America wants to see people identifying with Otto Wambier, not Bernie Wambier. And then the final... Go ahead. No, well, the final thing, I'd say they should moderate. I mean, America is left of center or right of center.
Just finish your point so Simone can respond to that. That was a pretty strong statement you just made, Jack.
I'll yield the floor, but I just think they need to get left of center rather than far left of center.
Let me help you all with something. First of all, Keith Ellison is from Minnesota. Secondly, 94%...
I stand corrected on that.
Keith Ellison is from Minnesota. Secondly, there is a base in this party that covers all bases. We have union member households. We have working people of all backgrounds, black people, Latinos, white people, Native Americans, Asian Americans, or otherwise. Black women have emerged as a stalwart, staunch voting bloc that supports and advocates and goes out there and gets Democrats elected. And so to somehow suggest that the answer to the Democratic Party's woes is to basically, for lack of a better term, just win more white people is absolutely incorrect.
Simone, I don't have to suggest that. I don't have to suggest
by 2030, by 2032, America will be majority minority.
Officials under Barack Obama.
And
you've lost 1,000 Democrats.
I can't hear either of you when you're talking at the same time.
Absolutely. I agree with Jack Kingston. We have lost 1,000 legislative seats over the last 10 years, and you know what that means? That means we need to pick better candidates. We need to run on the real issues that are affecting real people. Guess what? people out there in middle America, California, and everywhere in between, New York and on down in the South, they are talking about health care. They're talking about education. And if Democrats would like to win, we need to run real, authentic campaigns. So it is not a this is a false choice of saying if we need to play more to the white working class voter or if we need to play more to the base.
You're injecting
it seems
race
like the
in
message,
this.
though. I mean, what is the Democratic Party's key message? Does the party have a message it can really own?
Well, I do not work for the Democratic National Committee nor any of the other committees, but I will say that perhaps it would behoove the party committees and the DNC if the message would get out there that, look, the Democratic Party is a party that stands for all people, that stands for working class people. We are the party that is about protecting health care, not snatching it away from 23 million Americans. We are the party that believes that you can be gay married, that believes in all of basic people's human rights. And if that is not breaking through to people out there in America, then no, we are not out there doing our jobs. And so I think it would behoove, again, the party committees to get out there and talk to real people, to demonstrate, not just talk about it, but demonstrate that we are actively on their side.
Guys, I want to read a tweet we just got from President Trump. He just tweeted this moments ago. Since the Obama administration was told way before the 2016 election that the Russians were meddling, why no action? Focus on them, not T. What's your response to this, Jack? I mean, the president, up until this point, hadn't said definitively that Russia was even involved in the election.
You know, I think that a recent poll came out. It said something like 56% of Americans believe that this issue needs to be, we need to start legislating and let the special prosecutor handle this and have Congress start focusing on health care and jobs and other issues that are out there. I think that the Russian investigation...
Why is the president tweeting about this?
I think the Russian investigation has been overplayed, and if there's a question out there is why didn't the Obama administration do more about it, I think it's a very legitimate question. You know, that Washington Post article yesterday was atrocious in terms of Obama sitting on their hands about knowing this was going on. Why they did not do more is beyond me.
Simone, when you hear an official say they choked, that the Obama administration choked in its response, are you upset that President Obama didn't publicly do more when he found out about this?
Look, I think hindsight is 20/20. I think it's very plausible that had President Obama stepped up and said and did something about this actively in the moment, in the heat of a campaign last year, he would have been accused of trying to tip the scales for Hillary Clinton.
But ultimately, didn't politics then end up playing a role?
And yes, concurrently, one could also argue that stepping up and doing something about this could have probably prevented this fiasco that we're in right now. So I think what we need to focus on right now is, one, letting the special prosecutor do their job. The question is not why the Obama administration did not do more. The question is, why is the current president of the United States inserting himself in the middle of an active investigation?
Can I just point out, you guys both agreed that, can I just point out, because we got to leave it there, that you guys both agreed that everyone should let the investigators do their job and get to the bottom of it, get the answers, and I think that's important for us all.
Look at
Thanks
this bipartisan agreement.
Which is also what President Trump
said. That's a start.
And that's also what President Trump said. If any of his satellites have done wrong, he wants to know about it. Said that to James Comey.
All right. Thanks, guys.